Hello and welcome to Factual Insider, the channel that strives to cover as many facts as possible. Today we will be discussing 15 facts about Sonic Adventure 2 that you may not know. If you find any of the facts to be interesting, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Please be aware that this video will contain spoilers, so you have been warned. With that being said, let's get started. Number 1. Starting development shortly after the American release of the original Sonic Adventure in September 1999, Sonic Adventure 2 took 18 months to develop from Sonic Team as the game was being developed in the United States despite being owned by a Japanese video game company. The game was originally released on the Sega Dreamcast on June 19, 2001 as an attempt to help save the Dreamcast due to its poor sales from trying to compete against the PlayStation 2, which released in North America on October 26, 2000. While Sonic Adventure 2 did not save the Dreamcast and Sega from poor sales in the console market, the game would end up becoming to be considered one of the best entries in the entire Sonic the Hedgehog lineup of games and would end up selling around 500,000 units, which is considered an impressive feat for how bad sales were for the Sega Dreamcast. Due to the success of sales for Sonic Adventure 2, it would later get a port for the Nintendo GameCube the following year in 2002 in North America with additional features and changes that were not included in the original Dreamcast release. Number 2. Newcomer Shadow the Hedgehog, who was also introduced as the Ultimate Life Form, was a new antagonist that was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2 and would later on become a fan-favorite character among fans of Sonic the Hedgehog. The character was so well received, he would be brought into future Sonic the Hedgehog titles despite the fact that Shadow was actually meant to be dead at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 after the final Hazard boss fight. Thankfully, some additional backstory would be included into the series to help explain Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic Heroes and of course Shadow's own video game, Shadow the Hedgehog. Number 3. Of course, the first stage of the hero story in Sonic Adventure 2 is City Escape and would go down to be one of the most memorable stages in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Players may remember that before the stage begins in the hero story, Sonic is captured and thankfully escapes from being inside a helicopter from Gun. The pilot of the helicopter refers to himself as Sigma Alpha 2, which in Greek translates to SA2, which is a nice reference to the initials of the game. Number 4. In Sonic Adventure 2, there were 3 different playable characters for both the hero story and the dark story. Of course, there were also more playable characters for the game's multiplayer modes that were unable to be playable characters for single player. Hidden within the game's files, you can find files that hint at one point that Super Sonic and Super Shadow were going to be included into the multiplayer mode of Sonic Adventure 2, along with more hidden game files that show that Amy was also considered to be a playable character in the Chow Garden. Number 5. Going back to the opening scene of Sonic Adventure 2 in the hero story, players may remember Sonic hanging onto the helicopter before falling down and before the player would start the first stage of the hero story, City Escape. In the original Dreamcast release of the game, you can see Sonic wearing his original shoes that he has always been known for. An obvious editing mistake. It would be corrected in future ports of Sonic Adventure 2 and would show Sonic wearing the soap shoes in the corrected cutscene. Number 6. A hidden feature that was carried over from the original Sonic Adventure. If players ever thought about inserting the game disc into their computer's disk drive, you would be able to get free wallpaper designs of Sonic Adventure 2 to use for your computer's home screen. Number 7. For fans that wish to have a sequel to Sonic Adventure 2, there was a game that started development in 2006 that was meant to be a direct sequel to Sonic Adventure 2. The new game was also going to be the first Sonic the Hedgehog title to use the Hedgehog engine, which was developed 1 year prior in 2005. The game never ended up becoming a direct sequel to Sonic Adventure 2 because the development team at Sonic Team believed that the game ended up having too many differences, features and changes that would make the game too different to be a sequel to Sonic Adventure 2. That game would end up becoming to be Sonic Unleashed that released back on November 18, 2008. Please be sure to check out our other video 10 interesting facts about Sonic Unleashed you may not know. Number 8. Fans may remember in the story for Sonic Adventure 2, Dr. Eggman fires the Eclipse Cannon from the space colony Ark at the moon, destroying half of the moon, and created a scene that fans would not easily forget. Fans remember that scene so well, they began to question why the moon looked normal and intact in other releases in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and later would ask Takashi Iizuka, who is the head of Sonic Team at the Sonic Boom 2013 event, as to why the moon looked normal in all the Sonic the Hedgehog games after half of it was blown up in Sonic Adventure 2. 2. Takashi Iizuka ended up responding that the moon simply turned around to show the side that was intact. Number 9. During the single-player story of Sonic Adventure 2, players may remember that during cutscenes that sometimes the characters would talk over each other. This occurred because the cutscenes were originally animated to fit the Japanese dialogue and never was edited to match the lines that were in English. The lines in English were actually longer than the lines in Japanese, and due to such circumstances, that is why some fans noticed that the characters would sometimes speak over each other during the game's cutscenes. Number 10. The Sega Dreamcast had poor piracy protection, which allowed owners to burn games onto discs and play the games that were burned onto the discs on the Sega Dreamcast. In Sonic Adventure 2, despite being on a console with poor piracy protection, if the console detects that the game is being played on illegitimate copy, Dr. Eggman will fall through the floor when starting his section in the stage cannon's core. Number 11. Released in 2005, Shadow the Hedgehog was notorious for the swearing that was added into a Sonic the Hedgehog title, but believe it or not, it wouldn't be the first entry into the series with swearing. In the demo version of Sonic Adventure 2, it would show the pilot in the beginning cutscene before City Escape say "what the hell." The line was changed to say "what" in the final release of Sonic Adventure 2. Number 12. In the Mission Street stage, in which the player plays as Tails, you may remember that there were small police vehicles with 3 wheels with the gun logo on them. These small vehicles were included in as a mild form of revenge from the development staff at Sonic Team for getting parking tickets from parking attendants outside of their American office in San Francisco. Number 13. Of course, the parking tickets outside their office was not the only real-life influence that Sonic Adventure 2 would get in the game. As mentioned before, the development staff for the American division of Sonic Team were located in San Francisco, and they wanted to add influence into the game of their local area. Of course, it could easily be guessed that City Escape was of course inspired off of San Francisco. Radical Highway, which was a stage that was included into the Dark Story in which the player played as Shadow, had the bridges in the stage that were inspired off of the real-life Golden Gate Bridge. Finally, routes 101 and 280, which were the only playable driving sections in the story, were inspired off of highways 101 and 280 in California. Number 14. Found deep within the game's files, Sonic Adventure 2 was considered to have online multiplayer on the Dreamcast but never had the feature become available. When looking through the game's files, evidence can be found of a world ranking system for a leaderboard along with text with lines such as "forgot your password" and ranking by country. Number 15. Not explained in the actual game, Sonic Adventure 2 had backstory that was covered in a Japanese strategy guide that told that Maria Robot Nick suffered with a disease that was known as NIDS, an acronym which was short for Neuroimmunodeficiency Syndrome, which was meant to replicate the real-life disease AIDS, which stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome, which lead her grandfather, who was Gerald Robot Nick, to research immortality and create the ultimate life form, or known more commonly as Shadow the Hedgehog. Well, there you have it. Those were 15 facts about Sonic Adventure 2 you may not know. Hope that the video was enjoyable and entertaining. You are encouraged to watch more facts about gaming and other miscellaneous topics. See you next time.